to some of them. And this is, like Sam said, this is actually my original message. Like this is the thing that God's always had me teaching and preaching. The first message I ever gave, first time I ever preached, I was really scared. And it was a message that is about this. It was about Joel 2, Joel 1 and Joel 2. Joel 2 is like the ultimate city of refuge passage. So if you want to know about the basis of cities of refuge, like Joel 2 is essential understanding anyway for a New Testament church. That's what Peter started preaching in Acts 2 is Joel 2. So if you want to know the apostles' doctrine, kind of the foundation of what the first understanding of the purpose of the church was, it's all in Joel 2. That's why Peter started preaching Joel 2 at the outpouring of the Spirit on all flesh. And I'm not really going to cover Joel 2 today, but I just say that to say that I've been delivering this message ever since 2011. So summer of 2011, I preached my very first time. And then I preached that same message a couple of times in the year following that. So I preached about 3 times in 2011. And then in 2012, I started teaching the book of Revelation in my basement as part of a small group in my church. And the whole class was basically designed around this message of cities of refuge. And then in 2013, some of you were there, I taught at our old church in the sanctuary, the House of Prayer in the End Times, which is really about cities of refuge. And then K-Hop started that summer, right after I finished that series of classes. And I was one of the main teachers at K-Hop. When it first started, I was on the board of directors there, and I was actually teaching cities of refuge there. So I started teaching David's Tabernacle, then I taught End Time Unity, then I taught cities of refuge. And so I've been teaching this same message for a number of years, and obviously I've taught more and more ever since 2013, 2014 in different places. And I'll say this message, it's generally really well received on the front end, and then as you get into it, generally the message gets pushed out. So we need to understand there's a war against this message, like there really is. And that's okay. We just need to understand it. And right now, I feel like a lot of the things that the Lord would have me talk about this morning are new. Like I really haven't preached a lot of these things before. But they're all connected to things that I've been preaching for years. And they're the same idea, which is God wants to give us a vision of safety so that we can tell other people how to be safe. If we had a vision of unsafety, then we'd have a very unattractive message to the world, right? They're already unsafe. And so it's just one of the basic things is that we have a ministry of reconciliation, people to God, and that's a good news message. That's why it's called the gospel. It's good news. So safety and like peace. In fact, when Jesus was born, the angels like appeared to a bunch of shepherds and they were like, glad tidings of good joy or great joy, peace on earth, goodwill to men. Like Jesus is a message of peace and safety. That's what makes the false message of peace and safety so offensive to God. That's why in 1 Thessalonians 5, we find out that when the earth says peace and safety apart from Jesus, that's when sudden destruction comes. But that's because it's a counterfeit of the true message of actual peace and safety. And so I want to lay out a little vision today of what it looks like in the Bible, this idea of cities of refuge, why it's called that. That's not like some charismatic, crazy invention. It's actually a phrase from the Bible, from the Old Testament. But it's been hijacked in many ways by the charismatic church to mean something that it doesn't mean. It doesn't mean storing up seeds. It doesn't mean getting survival training or emergency response training. It doesn't mean anything other than night and day worship. That's the basis of a city of refuge is night and day worship, because that's the basis of God's government. That's the basis of his throne room. And a city of refuge is simply a location where the kingdom of God starts to manifest first. That's what it is. That's why in the Old Testament, they were Levite cities or Levitical cities. The Levites, they didn't have an inheritance of their own. They were a different tribe. They were actually given an inheritance, a temporary apportionment of cities from the other tribes of Israel because their inheritance is the Lord. That's actually what we were called into when we signed up for Jesus, was his inheritance. Jesus is a king and a priest. That means he's like David, he's the fruit of David, but he's also the highest order of Levitical priest. He's both. And so if you're in Christ, you're both in the seed of David, but you're also in the idea of being a priest. Does that make sense? So you're like two tribes if you're in Jesus. The Lion of the tribe of Judah is also the high priest, the great high priest. That's what Hebrews is really kind of laying out. So if you're interested in this theme, like you can look in the book of Hebrews or just with your Bible program, search for the name Melchizedek. Melchizedek, he was a king of Salem, which means peace, and he was also a priest. He was the only non-Jesus person in the Bible to be a priest and a king that was good. The Antichrist, he's a false priest and king. He's a global leader who then starts to believe he's God and starts to impose a religion of him on the earth. That's what makes him so offensive, is he's a counterfeit of Jesus. He wants to merge humanism and religion together and make a humanistic religion, is kind of the basis of that. Okay, so I want to go to item 1 of the notes, cities of refuge. Actually, I'm going to pray real fast. Holy Spirit, thank you. We just thank you that we're seated with you in the Father and the Son in the heavenly realm, that every spiritual blessing is ours. We just claim that Ephesians promise, that we don't need to be confused. I just bind a spirit of confusion in Jesus' name. I bind any legalistic spirit that's trying to be an attorney and parse out words that you don't parse out in Jesus' name. And I ask, Lord, for the Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit, would you come? Would you manifest freedom in this room? Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there's freedom. Take away the veil. We want to see clearly. We want that veil gone. We want to come boldly into the throne. I just pray right now, Jesus, thank you for sprinkling me with your blood. If you feel weighed down at all, you can say this to him. Thank you for sprinkling me with your blood. Just reapply the blood over yourself. You get clean, and then you come boldly before the throne. That's Hebrews 9 and 10. We just thank you for that reality. We just claim that right now. We're coming before the throne. We want to hear what you've got to say, Father, in Jesus' name. Okay, now cities of refuge, what it's really about is not so much your safety, it's about other people's safety. That's the ministry Jesus gave to his disciples at the end of each of the Gospels was the Great Commission. He's like, you guys are good, you're in the kingdom. Now go take this good news message to the ends of the earth, like help make other people safe. And when the end times start to bear down on us, a lot of people get scared and they start turning inward and start worrying about their own safety. So we shouldn't be surprised that there's a bunch of misinformation, confusion, and fear because we're looking inward. If you look inward, you're not doing what Jesus said to do, which was when you see all these things happen, lift up your heads, look up. We want to look Jesus-ward. We want to look towards his inheritance. Heaven is supposed to be filled with everybody on the planet right now. He desires no one perish. The Bible says he doesn't want anybody to die. And so when Peter goes with Jesus into the Garden of Gethsemane, Jesus is like, Peter, you're going to be made to stumble tonight. I'm really not okay with that. Satan's asked to sift you like wheat. I'm praying that your faith won't fail. Peter's like, I'm good. I'm ready to die. But that was not Jesus' intention for Peter at all. In fact, Jesus' intention for Peter was that he would invite other people into reconciliation, that he'd take them into safe places. So he says to Peter, when he restores Peter, after Peter denies him 3 times, he says, do you love me? And Peter's like, I do. And he says, feed my sheep. He's telling him to be a shepherd. A shepherd leads sheep, according to Psalm 23, into green pastures. Like he keeps them safe with his rod and his staff. So we have to have a message, according to Jesus, to Peter, who he said, I'm going to build the church on this rock. We have to have a message of safety. David said in Psalm 27, the very last verse, he said, unless I believed I'd see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living, I would have lost heart. We have to have a vision for the goodness of the Lord. The land of the living means before heaven, before the rapture. In the land of the living, right now, here, where we're living right now. That's what David said. He's like, because I killed the bear, I killed the lion, even if a whole army surrounds me, I'm going to be confident in one thing. This one thing I wanted was to be where God is. That's Psalm 27:4. And he said, at the end of that, he's like, I did that because I believed it would work. I actually believed it would keep me safe. And if you look at David's life, David was one of the most sought after people to kill in the Old Testament, and he lived to a very ripe old age. It worked. And so we want to have a vision of this. Very few people in the Bible were martyrs. Very few. The Old Testament, very few, mostly the prophets. In the New Testament, very few, mostly the apostles and those prophetic apostles. The vast majority of the church made it, otherwise you and I wouldn't really be here. Right? The message wins. It works. It's safe. It's good. And so we don't want to fall into the ditch of not talking about the judgments or the danger of them, but we also don't want to fall into the other ditch of that's all we think about is a really negative message, because that's not good news. Just at the really basic level, That's not good news, and it's not appealing to people who like truth. And so we got to find what is the real message, and the real message is this, that God will make everyone safe that wants to come near to him, but to come near to him requires holiness. And holiness releases judgment. It really does, okay? And that's why the cities of refuge are Levitical cities. Those Levites were priests, like they lived a holy lifestyle, and they ministered to the Lord. They were from a different place. They had their inheritance in heaven, not on earth. They had a different reality. Okay, now God appointed cities of refuge, 6 of them, item A of the notes, for the Levites, or the priestly family. Levites had no inheritance in the land. I kind of said that. The Levites' inheritance was God and access to his throne. They were ambassadors of heaven, or that's what we would call a priest. That's like modern language for priests. They represented the Lord to the people. Numbers 18:20. Then the Lord said to Aaron, you shall have no inheritance in their land, nor shall you have any portion among them. I'm your portion and your inheritance among the children of Israel. Now, because of this, God appointed cities from the land to give to the Levites, because they didn't have an inheritance of their own. They weren't blocked off some land here. This is going to be yours forever. Do you know that Israel is going to be a nation of priests, and the divisions for the tribes are already set? It's already known where they're going to live. That's why Israel is really pretty adamant about not dividing the land, because you're like, hey, that's part of my tribe's land, or they don't know what tribe they're from generally, but that's the idea, is we need all of it because it's all ours. Like, it's already been apportioned to us. This is important that we stand with the Lord in this, actually. Because when God selected Abram and brought him out of Ur of the Chaldeans, he immediately marked him for persecution, because Satan doesn't want the Messiah to come forward, and he doesn't want Israel to invite the Messiah back. And so we're supposed to, in humility, recognize that and be like, oh, our safety was on your back. We should at least have the humility to recognize how much you did for us. Whether we like you or not, we should pray for you, contend for you. Whether we agree with your politics or not, we should care about you like family, because we're grafted into your root. Does that make sense? So if we're in agreement with Jesus, we care about that land being Israel's, from the river to the sea, all the way from Egypt, all the way up to Syria. Like, that is Israeli land. According to the Bible, there's a title deed written for them. And it really matters, because they've been God carved out land just for them in the place that they're supposed to be, because he knew there'd be a war against them being there. And that war is designed to keep us out of heaven. So humility says, oh, I can contend for someone else. I'll seek the kingdom first. In that, I'll find all the rest added unto me. This is the idea of a city of refuge. Now, 6 Levitical or priestly cities were cities of refuge. I think there were a total of 48 Levite cities, 42 in addition to the 6 cities of refuge. 6 Levitical or priestly cities were cities of refuge, where this was the purpose of the city of refuge. Those who were guilty, and their guilt was in question. It was like, yeah, they were at the scene of the crime, but did they push the guy or did he fall? Like, how did that really work out? And that gave them time for defense. If they wanted refuge, they would flee to one of the cities of refuge. Now, right now in the world, there are a ton of people, they want to love Jesus. They just don't know how. The gospel hasn't been preached to them, hasn't been preached to them well. They've had terrible parents, so they got a wrong idea of the Father. I mean, there's a complete mess out there. And Jesus is like, I haven't decided yet if they're guilty or not. And I'm going to make a space for them to run to, so that they can have some time as I release my judgments and start to decide, is he God or is he evil? Which one? I want to buy them some time. This is why Peter said, because we know all these things are going to happen, what manner of people should we be? Hastening the day of the Lord. Well, how do you do that? How do you hasten a time that no one knows the day or the hour and the number of days are set? How do you hasten the time of judgment? You hasten the time of your own judgment. You put yourself in the judgment seat. And then you become the mercy seat. Does that make sense? This is what Jesus did. He says, if you want to be my follower, take up your cross and come after me. Be like me. Follow me. This is what I did. I laid down my life. I put myself in the judgment seat for you, and that became the mercy seat. If we're supposed to be like him, then to some degree we can do the same thing. That's why our message is a message of peace. It's a message of reconciliation, but it looks truth square in the eye that if you don't do it, you're going to get judged. And I can't say that unless I let myself be in that place first. There's no truth in it if I don't do that. That's the whole point of repentance. That's the whole point, honestly, of what we've been doing here, is trying in really weak ways to put ourselves in the place that the earth deserves, because we're part of the earth and we do deserve it, but It's mostly a ministry of reconciliation. Jesus, he didn't deserve to put on flesh. He didn't deserve to come and pay the price for us. Daniel, the most righteous guy in Babylon, he really was probably the least needing to repent. But he's the guy we read about repenting in the Bible. Why? Because he had the heart of the Lord. And he cared about God's inheritance. This is David's testimony. David didn't have to start a house of prayer. He was prophesied to be king. He killed tens of thousands of people. He was a pretty good warrior. He had a whole bunch of vagabonds that became the greatest army the Bible's ever described. He didn't have to build a house of prayer. He did it because he cared about other people. The house of prayer wasn't for David. It was for everybody else. He made a space for everyone else to experience what he loved. He's like, I'm on the backside of Bethlehem. I'm out in the field tending to the sheep, and I look up at the stars, and I see the glory of God. I am completely satisfied out here. I don't need to be king. That's why he never asserted himself as king. Even when they tried to say, like, David, you got to kill Saul. He's trying to kill you. David was like, I'm totally satisfied. I don't really need that. I've got something on the inside you don't know about. He did the house of prayer for other people because you know what? If you look at the Psalms, it was a big burden. People were lame to David throughout his life. His family was lame to him. All the people he was trying to serve were lame to him. And he's like, look, I am really satisfied by myself, but I care about his inheritance. And you are in his inheritance. And I'm unwilling to sleep, to lay on my bed until I find a dwelling place for the Lord. But he had one already. Do you see what I'm saying? David was really prophetic. He was anointed. It says when Samuel anointed him with the Holy Spirit, the Spirit came on him and didn't leave. He had a he was the only guy walking around besides probably Samuel that had a dwelling place for the Lord, and Saul. Saul was anointed as well. He was a walking dwelling place for the Lord. He's like, no, that's not what I mean. I mean a dwelling place for you. All of you sons of my best friends who fight in the military, I care that your kids experience what I know, which is that we can touch him more than we are right now if we will just simply agree with him about his government. And what that did was it entirely changed the way Israel was. Israel was a wreck under Saul. A wreck. The Philistines were coming in wave after wave. Saul's government was a mess. He's going down to mediums. He doesn't know what to do. He's trying to call up Samuel. He's afraid. He's making mistake after mistake. The whole country was a wreck. David comes in. He sets up the house of prayer. He brings the ark into the tabernacle. And pretty soon we don't start hearing about all the wars coming in. David's taking land going out. At the time that kings went out to war in the spring, David, they got so successful, they're like, David, just stay home. Just stay home. It's working. That actually got David into trouble. Do you see what I'm saying? David did this for other people. That's what a city of refuge is about. And the Lord is saying, if we don't let go of our selfishness right now, we're going to be very surprised when we meet him. He's coming very soon. I just want to say, by the signs in the earth right now, he's coming very, very soon. And he looks different than I think. I've been catching just feelings, emotions of what's on his face right now. He is very intense. Because his church is mostly selfish, mostly concerned. Is this good for me? Is this working for me? I don't feel like it's working for me. I don't know. Maybe I'll go here. Maybe I'll go there. Maybe I'll go there. I just don't know if it's working for me. He's like, are you kidding me? Have you read the Bible? Working for you. It worked for you already. What about everyone else? Unity in the church is a witness to the world that he's Messiah. I'm sorry. I get excited. And sometimes I take on this intensity that I don't want to. Okay, so Numbers 35:6. Now among the cities which will give the Levites, you shall appoint 6 cities of refuge to which a manslayer may flee. I'm not good at this. I just want you to know. This scares me. I have a whole lot of hurt and emotion. I see things that I don't hear a lot of people preaching, so I get excited. I've said a bunch of things that I've gotten a lot of flack for. So I feel this pride to make it clear that it's true. And I do think it is, but I don't think it's good to try to keep making it clear. Brad kind of corrected me on that a couple of days ago. I appreciate it. But I'm a kid, and I'm not even that great a one. So some grace would really be appreciated. You know? I'm not an attorney. Neither are you. I don't think. Maybe one of you is. So if I get all excited, it's my weakness. It's not like some zeal I'm excited, I'm proud of. It's my weakness. I'd like to just be calm and clear and deliver a message and go home and spend more time with the Lord. That's actually what I want. Then you shall appoint cities to be cities of refuge for you. Verse 11 of Numbers 35, 9 to 28. Speak to the children of Israel. You should appoint cities to be cities of refuge for you, that the manslayer who kills any person accidentally may flee there. They shall be cities of refuge for you from the avenger, that the manslayer may not die until he stands before the congregation in judgment. Wait a second, he's going to stand before the congregation? Yeah. The saints are going to release judgment by the time the trumpet judgment starts happening. And so if we make a safe place and people come in and we get to know them, we're like, I know this guy's heart. We've seen this in each other. Yeah, they're immature. Yeah, they're weak, but I see their heart for love. They don't deserve judgment, Jesus. This is what he did for us. You see? This is what a city of refuge is all about. I get vision and revelation from doing night and day prayer. I see the throne room. I get to, in a group of people that are not that nice sometimes, but I run up against them enough times and I'm like, we had that disagreement, but they're staying in it. They're not quitting, and they actually have a heart for God. And so when the enemy comes and he's accusing, I'm like, no, I stand in the gap. I'm an intercessor. I'm like, no, I've seen their lives, and they do the same for me. And there's people out there, they love God. They haven't had any exposure to who he is. This is designed to bring them in and for us to get to know them to get to know us, them to get to know Jesus, his body, and become a part of us. This is what Acts 2 is describing. This is the Great Commission. The Great Commission is not us printing up some tracts, going out in the city, like finding the poor people that we think are probably criminals, telling them about Jesus, and then going back to Portage and having cake. That's not the gospel. The gospel is us laying down our lives, our time, our money, all of our dreams because we love our kids. We love our family. We love the people in this city that we've bumped up against to enough times we're like, they're not evil. They're actually good. But right now there is an accusation in the world against the church that the church is evil, and the church is starting to retaliate and be like, no, you're evil. This is very bad news. This is not Jesus at all. But it's couched in Jesus' language. It's very, very dangerous. It's bad. No good. Real bad. Really, really bad. Sorry. I was kind of joking, but you know what I mean. And the cities which you give, you shall have 6 cities of refuge. You shall appoint 3 cities on this side of the Jordan. 3 cities you shall appoint in the land of Canaan, which will be cities of refuge. These 6 cities, verse 15, will be for refuge for children of Israel, for the stranger. It's both. It's for the church, it's for Israel, it's for the stranger. It's for everybody. My nose is running. Sorry. I didn't need that information. For the sojourner among them, that anyone who kills a person accidentally may flee there. But if he strikes him with an iron implement so that he dies, he's a murderer. And the murderer shall surely be put to death. If he strikes him with a stone in the hand by which one could die, and then he goes through and describes like all these different scenarios, like the city of refuge is because you don't really know. Like if somebody shows up from out of town, they're like, man, I've been caught up in this thing and I'm not guilty. You'd be like, right. We don't know yet. We don't know you yet. Come hang out here. We'll see what you're all about. We'll see if you love him or not. Turn with me to the last page of the notes for a second. Luke 19. No, wrong. Sorry. Matthew. I want Matthew 22. Yeah, page 5 of the notes. This is all over the Bible, this idea. It's everywhere in the Bible, a safe place for people to figure out if they love Jesus. Now, you got to get in the narrow road of it. If you think everyone's going, when I say safe, if you think a big, like, force field, Star Wars force field, no, they run up to it, they bounce off of it. Oh, no, they must be praying in there. I haven't seen that in the Bible. Have you? I see the Red Sea. That was pretty good. Safe place. Looked terrifying to the Israelites, though. They're like, Egypt's coming to get us. Go through what? Are you kidding me? That's just wind, dude. You prayed all night, and that's wind. I don't know. Get in there. We go in. Egypt comes behind us. It floods them. That's a city of refuge. It's not puppies and roses and, hey, we're in the force field having a picnic, and because all the enemy armies are outside. It takes faith. Huge faith. In fact, they get the other side of the Red Sea, and they're like, Moses, where's the food? Where's the water? Yeah, I see the fire pillar. Do you know what we felt in worship? We felt a little bit of fire. We felt a little bit of wind. We're going to feel a lot more. It's not enough. They had way more. They had a ton. Visibly, all day long. Visibly, all night long. And they're still like, Moses, you led us out to death, you jerk. Moses interceded for them over and over. God, don't harm them. I know their hearts. I know they love you. God wanted to. A few times, God was like, we'll take care of this, Moses. And Moses is like, no, you, for the sake of your own name, don't do it. Not right now. Not right now. Jesus answered and spoke to them. This is Matthew 22, 1-14. Again, by parables, and said, the kingdom of heaven is like a certain king who arranged a marriage for his son. A marriage. He really cares that Jesus gets a bride. He really cares. And the bride is supposed to be big and full and glorious and clean and spotless. That's the message of judgment is a message of love for Jesus. And he loves them. So it works out really good. The kingdom of heaven is like a certain king who arranged a marriage for his son and sent out his servant to call those who were invited to the wedding. And they were not willing to come. Now, in parentheses, I put some words here. There's 3 invitations. One was to Israel. We read about that in the Gospels. We read about that when they killed Jesus. They said, we have no king but Caesar. And Pontius Pilate was like, you want me to crucify your king? Are you kidding me? Even he recognizes his king. They're like, we have no king but Caesar. Crucify him. 70 years later, Caesar came and gave them exactly what they wanted. A really great Roman government that destroyed their city, killed the temple, sent them into exile, and for 2,000 years, there was no Israel. That's what a great king Caesar was. Now again, this is talking about the church. He sent out other servants saying, tell those who are invited, see, I've prepared my dinner. My oxen and fatted cattle are killed. All things are ready. It's like further along. It's time. Like, look around. It's time. Come to the wedding. But they made light of it, went their ways, one to his farm, another to his business. Now, if you read the other account in Luke, it's like, please have me excused. I love the king. I love him, and I love his kid. He loves me. Just have me excused for this one. I'll be there next time. It gets a little bigger. The wedding's a little bit greater. I'll be there then. It's not obvious. It's as in the days of Noah. It takes faith. You won't see it. You're supposed to obey it. But they made light of it, went their ways, one to his farm, one to his business. The rest seized his servants, treated them spitefully, and killed them. But when the king heard about it, he was furious, and he sent out his armies, destroyed those murderers, that's the church, and burned up their city. More than Israel got. More than Israel got. We're supposed to recognize, this is what Romans 10 and 11 say, we're supposed to recognize that Israel paid the price for us to get in and have some humility and be like, if I'm in, I'm staying in, I'm all the way. What is this all about? What do I do? How do I help? Instead of, I don't know, it's not really working for me right now. You see what I'm saying? We're supposed to have some humility in this. And like really, our lives are supposed to be laid down. The culture does not like this message. That's why the church is really wrapped up in the culture thinking, I can have both. You can't. It's impossible. How much of our money does he want? All of it. How much does he have? All of it. How much will he give us? All of it. Well, what if I give you just a little bit? Then I have all of it. I'm just going to let you touch a little of it. Who's faithful with a little will be faithful in more. If you're unfaithful, actually, he takes it away. He said to the guys with the 10 minas, he said, take from the one who hid it, give it to the other guy who used it. You see what I'm saying? This is all these messages are about a city of refuge. Matthew 25, entirely about a city of refuge. In fact, the analogous passage, the parable about the 10 minas and the 10 talents and 10 minas, the reward is not more talents, it's more cities. He says, give that guy 5 cities, give that guy 10 cities, take the mina from that guy, give it to the other guy. It's about cities. All of it's about cities. That's why Babylon, the first city, was the first corruption. The whole thing is about cities. Government is about cities. This is about government. This is about authority and rule. You see what I'm saying? You can't do it on your own. You're supposed to do it with people. But you're supposed to do it with people because you're in love with Jesus. That's why he told Adam and Eve, he said, I want you to scatter, multiply, fill the earth, subdue the earth, and then I'll start to manifest my government in that. That's why when Noah, the ark lands and the water goes away, Noah could have been like, hey, boys, let's get ourselves building a city. And the Lord was like, no, I want you to spread out, multiply, expand, and then we'll start to bring the kingdom forward. The cities of the earth, the major earthly cities, the corrupt cities, the harlot cities, they're all going to be destroyed according to Revelation 16. So we need a safe place, a little city. This is what Zor was when Sodom was destroyed. Zor actually means little. We need a little city outside of big cities so people in big cities can come out into a little city and then the government will start to manifest there. It will be safe. It will be dangerous. It will be both. Just like Zor. Lot and his wife running. His wife is like, wait a second, I think I left the stove and turned into a pillar of salt. You got to abandon everything. Abandon everything. You see what I'm saying? But they made light of it. He burned up their city. And then he said to his servants, kings and priests, right? I put that in parentheses for a reason. These are his servants. His servants, they're telling people about judgment. That's a king role. And they're saying, come to the wedding. That's a priest role. It's both. The wedding is ready, but those who were invited were not worthy. Therefore, go into the highways, and as many as you find, invite to the wedding. So those servants went out into the highways and gathered together all whom they found, both bad and good. And the wedding hall was filled with guests. This will be a picture of the tabernacle of David. But when the king came in to see the guests, he saw there was a man there who didn't have on a wedding garment. Wait a second. One of you guys is not actually doing it. You're not really, you're just in the crowd. So he said to him, friend, how did you get in here without a wedding garment? And he was speechless. I don't know. I can't remember why I'm here. Do you know why you're here? You need to know. You should have woken up this morning coming here to get something. And when you get home, you should know whether or not you got it. It's okay if you didn't get it, but you should be here with purpose or intention. You wouldn't show up at a football game and be like, I can't. Well, actually I would, but I don't remember why I'm here. Is this basketball? I like sports. Yeah, the chair's not that comfy. The hot dogs make me feel real bad. Everybody stinks. Why am I here again? Why would we show up at church any different? Oh, because I'm supposed to. I'll be bad if I don't. That's what you think. You don't know anything about why you're here, and you're actually not getting anything at all. I'm here to touch heaven. I need more heaven because when I'm out there, there's a whole lot of earth trying to crowd it out. I get ideas from you about how to touch his heart. I listen to what the Spirit says through everybody, and I'm like, I want that. Somebody's like, hey, you're coming across kind of arrogant. I'm like, yes, thank you for telling me. I didn't realize that. I get in front of God in the morning, and I'm like, I don't want to be arrogant. How do I fix this? I just think people that love me wouldn't tell me that if it wasn't true. Sometimes they do tell you that, and it's not true, but it doesn't hurt to ask Jesus. And sometimes he's like, yeah, you are. And they told you that with a bad spirit, but you are. Brad didn't tell me that with a bad spirit. He told me that really nicely. Then the king said to the servants, bind him hand and foot, take him away, and cast him into outer darkness. There will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. For many are called, but few are chosen. We're giving people an opportunity. This is not the place, this is not the plan of salvation. We're doing this for opportunity. If you don't know why we're doing night and day prayer, if you don't know why we have like the prayer meetings that we have, we're doing it because we love people in the world, and we're trying to get a place here that is safe for opportunity. Many people will come here and not touch it. Many people will come here and leave having touched it and carry it somewhere else. This is not supposed to be like the only safe place, the only landing pad in the earth for people to come and find out about the end times. It's like, that'd be ridiculous. The end times are vast and huge. We're just trying to eke out a little spot in Kalamazoo because we love a lot of people here that need him, and they need just a little bit more time. And so you can go out there and like be a lawyer and find all the ways it's not happening, telling yourself, there's just more time, there's just more time. Or you can actually come here and make more time. Hasten the day of your own judgment. Be a witness, be a fire, be a lamp on a lampstand so they could glorify the good works of your Father. That's what this is about. Go back. Let's go back, if you don't mind, to page 2 of the notes. Actually, let's go back to page 1 of the notes. I'm going to skip some of the, if he does this, then he does that, he might be guilty, he might not. The congregation will deliver the manslayer from the hand of the avenger of blood. The congregation shall return him to the city of refuge where he fled. This is verse 25 of Numbers 35, sorry. And he shall remain there in the city of refuge until the death of the high priest who was anointed with the holy oil. Who is our great high priest right now? Yes, you could just stay here. You're good. But if the manslayer at any time goes outside the limits of the city of refuge where he fled, and the avenger of blood finds him outside the limits of the city of refuge, and the avenger of blood kills the manslayer, he did what he's supposed to do. He shall not be guilty of blood, because he should have, the guy who was in the city of refuge should have remained in the city of refuge until the death of the high priest. But after the death of the high priest, the manslayer may return to the land of his possession. So if you're a Levite building the city of refuge, what's the land of your possession? New Jerusalem. When Jesus comes, you're going to the New Jerusalem. But your work here will remain forever. remain for at least 1,000 years, as all the people that were spared, given enough time, they didn't even get saved. They didn't even come to the house of prayer. They just lived in your city. And it was righteous enough that the Antichrist was like, I have limited resources. I got to take the places I can take first. That place in Kalamazoo, like all these people getting saved. There's this glory touching the place. I'm not even going to bother with that right now. I'm going to go after the other place that nobody's doing that in. There'll be people here that just make it through because there's a glory center. And this might not be the only one. There might be more than one. But why would we take a chance that somebody else is going to do it? If we get a glory center going, we shift the balance. This is what was going on in Jerusalem in Acts 5. That's why I constantly point us back to Acts 5. Acts 5, there's glory resting on them. It says none of the rest dared join them. Many were added to the number. But the whole city was like locked in check just for a minute until it broke. The whole city was like, what is going on? They seem like really good people. They're healing people, but they're so weird. And the high priests are talking bad about them. What is happening in this city? And it just left enough time that even people that weren't connecting with the Lord were still okay. The Bible says that unless the days were shortened, the days of the Great Tribulation, the 1,260 days, unless they were numbered, if they weren't numbered like they are, no flesh would be saved. Nobody would make it through. The confusion, the death, the hatred, the lies of the enemy would be so powerful that nobody would make it. But God has made it short, 1,260 days. We're supposed to comfort each other with those words, actually. That's why it's so important to know that there comes a point in time where you do know the day and the hour. When do you know the day and the hour? The abomination of desolation. When the abomination of desolation is set up, then you know it's 1,260 days. That's the way to know. That's what we should be watching for that. We should be watching the Temple Mount. We should be watching for some desecration of the Temple Mount. Now, that's really hard to see because the Temple Mount's already pretty desecrated. There's a whole false religion that has built a big, building there and prays to a very angry, vengeful God. And in fact, they're in the middle of Ramadan right now. There's 100,000 people went and prayed there 2 days ago, Friday. So what does that look like? I don't know. I'm talking to the Lord about it. What did it look like under Antiochus Epiphanes? He offered pigs on the altar, and then he set up a statue of Zeus. What did it look like under Rome? He tore down the altar, defiled the altar, and then about 40 years later set up a statue. Another guy set up a statue. I don't know what it looks like, but I'm watching for it. Nobody knows what this stuff looks like. It's all cryptic, prophetic passages that we're trying to wrap our minds around. But we got to try to wrap our minds around them. That's why in Revelation 13, it says 666. He says, he who is wise should calculate the number of the beast. People have been trying to do this for 2,000 years. They're wise, according to the Bible. That's not crazy. That's wise. Well, they didn't get it right. They must be bad. No, they love God. You search for it, you find his heart. That's the point. Okay, so the city of refuge in Leviticus, though, that's not the first cities of refuge. That's actually a picture of something that happened prophetically at least 3 times before the Levitical cities, and I give you a list here on page 2 of the notes. Noah's Ark is the very first city of refuge. Noah's Ark is really the very first judgment we hear about. And God, every time you find judgment in the Bible, you're going to find a safe place. Every time. Was it kind of safe? Totally safe. Was it pleasant? Have you ever hung out with elephants? Probably wasn't super pleasant. Totally safe. Did Noah want out of the boat? Yes. When the boat landed, I was like, okay, get me out of here. I'm going to plant some vineyards, drink some wine. Need a drink. Is the city of refuge is it heaven on earth? No, otherwise we wouldn't go to the New Jerusalem. Right? We got to get the narrow road of this. It's uncomfortable. It's a lot of people coming in that are terrified and don't know very much about Jesus, all excited about Jesus. Have you ever had that happen in your life? That's not that fun. It's kind of fun. I mean, it's beautiful, but it's not that fun. We're getting ready for work. Harvest laborers. Father, send harvest laborers. We're not getting ready for a party. If you're getting ready for a party, you got the wrong mindset right now. We're getting ready for a beautiful work for a wedding, though. You ever set up for a wedding? You set up for a wedding, usually you're pretty tired for the wedding itself. This is not the case in this one. You'll have a lot of energy for the wedding itself. But it's a lot of work. Table, tablecloth, fork, knife. Who's got the lemonade? That's what we're doing. That's over and over. How many tables we got to set up? How many chairs we got to get? Do you see what I'm saying? This is what it's all about. Noah's Ark. A lot of work, a lot of labor. I mean, some people say like 100 years hammering boards together and people like mocking him and like his kids like, what are you doing, Dad? He's like, there's something coming. I know him. He wouldn't lie to me. Zor in the judgment of Sodom. We're going to read that passage in just a second. And then Goshen in the Exodus story. We're not going to read that one today. That's probably the most important one to study, but I can't help you with that. You need to read Exodus. If you don't understand the book of Exodus, you don't understand the book of Revelation. If you don't understand the book of Exodus, you really don't understand the Gospels. And when I say that to people, they're like, what? It's true. And if you don't know why it's true, you need to get into it. You really do. Okay, Hebrews 11, 6-7. I'm just going to read a couple of these. This is about Noah. I didn't go to the Noah story. I'd rather look at what the New Testament says about it, because right now, some of the confusion that's floating around is Old Testament versus New Testament. This is a false argument. Everything in the Old Testament was written for us. And I give the passage in the notes somewhere. I think Peter said it. 1 Peter 10, 1, 10-12, page 3 of the notes. Of this salvation, the prophets have inquired and searched carefully, who prophesied of the grace that would come to you. He's talking about Old Testament prophets. Searching what manner of time the Spirit of Christ, who is in them, was indicating when he testified beforehand the sufferings of Christ and the glories that would follow. To them, people in the Old Testament, it was revealed that, not to themselves, but to us, they were ministering the things which have now been reported to you through those who have preached the gospel to you. The gospel is the Old Testament manifest in a salvation, an actual practical salvation experience. So all of those Old Testament stories are very relevant. All those Old Testament actions are very relevant. God didn't like wipe out the Old Testament and give us the New Testament. Otherwise, this Bible would be a lot thinner. Everybody knows this for the last 2,000 years. It's only in recent history people are like, that's Old Covenant. Don't want to touch it. That's not the way that it's always been. Okay, so without faith, it's impossible to please him. For he who comes to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him. That's the basic. The very, very basic is if I work, even really weak, that's actually the burden is light, the yoke is easy. It should always be doable. It should always be laborious and doable at the same time. But if I do that, I got to believe that he's going to reward it. So if I do that, not with a picture of the rewards, I'll wear myself out. Without vision, the people perish. It's unsustainable without vision. This is why one of the first times I helped start a house of prayer, I'm like, you got to talk about the end times or people won't do it. They'll stop. They'll actually, over time, less and less people will connect with it. Less and less people will commit to actually doing the sets. They'll love the messages. They'll love the idea of being a part of it. Like the number of people that love it might grow, but the people that actually do it will become less and less because the labor is intentionally laborious. David said it's so expensive. Now, this is an amazing thing happening here. Our people are actually getting less and less. The sets are hardly getting changed at all. Do you see what I'm saying? That's a miracle. The number of hours that we do for people this size is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And if you feel like you're stretched, you feel like you can't do it, you don't feel obligated to do it. That's okay. All I'm saying is there's some grace resting on this thing that nobody can pump us up enough to keep doing it like this. We're getting vision. We're getting revelation. Now, maybe we're not getting end time vision. Maybe we're not getting exactly cities of refuge vision, but something is touching our hearts when we come here and we're like, I'm going to do it again tomorrow. I'm going to do it again next week. I got to set, I'm going to show up. I don't want to. There's a war against it. Kids all freak out. Work gets crazy, but I'm going to show up because I said I was going to, and it's worth it. Like, it's worth it when I look at what happens to the people, when I look at how God feels about it, when I feel the Holy Spirit resting on me, it's worth it. And the final analysis, if it's not worth it, don't do it. But if it is worth it, don't let the enemy chase you out of it. Now, it says, by faith, this idea, he's going to reward me if I do it, being divinely warned of things not yet seen, moved with godly fear, prepared an ark for the saving of himself. No, his household, by which he condemned the world and became heir of the righteousness which is according to faith. He did both. He made a safe place and he showed the rest of the world they could have been safe if they wanted to. You cannot have a death message and hope to get the world to say yes to it. Now, the message of life requires death of everything they're tired of anyway, but it's a message of safety in life. We've got to get to the place where we believe it. Now, there's a ton of us that have had really junky parents. There's a war on the family that unrolled from the 50s until the 90s, until now, getting worse all the time. And so it's easy for us to not believe that God is a rewarder of those who diligently seek them. But a good father, he's just looking for ways to give us his money. A good dad is like, yeah, I agree with that. Yes, I'll give you money for that. Yes. I want to give you a reward for that. Yes, I want to bring you into my business. Yes, I want to do this. Yes, I want to do that because I'm looking for ways to get you to get a great life if you're a good dad. This has got to be our message about God. So if the end times are unfolding and he wrote the book and we're the object of his love, we should have a pretty hopeful message in the end times. Not everybody's going to die, hunker down, get ready for a really mean dad to like wave his hand over this place. He's not mean. He's not a hard man. So turn with me for a second to Matthew 25. No, sorry, Luke. There's two parables. Matthew 25 is the one that I did not copy, but page 6 of your notes, Luke 19. These are end time passages. In fact, just before this in Luke 18, or in Luke 19 earlier, Luke 19:10, we hear that the question is, when is your kingdom going to come? What's your kingdom manifesting going to look like? And this is Jesus' answer in this moment in time. Now, as they heard these things, he spoke another parable, because he was near Jerusalem and because they thought the kingdom of God would appear immediately. Therefore, he said, a certain nobleman went into a far country to receive for himself a kingdom and then to return. This is Jesus. Jesus, when he paid the price on the cross, he went before the Father. He got all authority was given to him in heaven and on earth and below the earth. He got everything. And then he came back to his friends. He's like, all authority in heaven and earth has been given to me. You go therefore and make disciples into this reality. Okay, this is talking about us. So he called 10 of his servants and delivered to them 10 minas and said to them, do business till I come. For who? Business for who? Jesus. But his citizens hated him and sent a delegation after him, saying, we will not have this man to reign over us. And so it was that when he returned, having received the kingdom, he then commanded these servants to whom he had given the money to be called to him, that he might know how much every man had gained by trading. Now, if you were here on Friday night, you heard that Satan fell by trading. Satan was trying to take Jesus' stuff and make his own kingdom. We're supposed to take our stuff and make a kingdom for Jesus. It's a good trading. Do you see what I'm saying? It's different. So it was when he returned, he called him. The first came saying, Master, your mina earned 10 minas. And he said to him, well done. Now, do you see the heart of this servant? He's like, he didn't say, I earned you 10 minas. He's like, your mina? It's like magic, dude. It earned 10. The mina earned it. These are selfless people who have spent themselves on Jesus. He said to him, well done, good servant, because you were faithful in very little, have authority over 10 cities. You built a city of safety, and I'm giving you the reward. You're going to have authority over 10 cities. You're going to live in the New Jerusalem with me, but you have a reign because you have already demonstrated that you are righteous in the release of my resources. I'm going to let you be a governor over 10 cities. The second came saying, Master, your mina has earned 5 minas. Likewise, he said to him, same thing. It was your mina. It earned the money. You also be over 5 cities. And another came, Master, here is your mina, which I have kept, put away in a handkerchief. For I feared you, because you didn't know him at all. You are an austere man. Does it sound like an austere man? It's like, I'm giving you money. I'm going away. You're going to find a complete satisfied life. You're like surprised that money like turned into something. And then I'm not going to say, all right, you did good. Give me my stuff. I'm going to actually give you more. Does that sound like an austere man? No, because you are an austere man. He doesn't even say, I think you were. He just says, my heart is hardened in this reality that you don't reward. Like, yes, you're my master. Yes, I want to serve you. Yes, I can even tell myself I love you. But in my heart of hearts, I know you're mad at me. I know you're going to take something from me. I know that I can't trust you to really be safe, is what he's saying. You collect what you did not deposit and reap what you did not sow. And he said, because the guy is looking at his life as his. It's mine. And he's not having any respect for what's been given to him or what will actually make him happy, what will make him satisfied. And he said to him, out of your own mouth will I judge you, you wicked servant. You knew that I was an austere man. Do you know that Jesus will be to you whatever you want him to be to you? If you want him to be a judge, you'll live a life that is worthy of judgment. You're going to go wherever you're looking. It's important that we break from wrong ideas about who he is. I learned this lesson a really hard way in the last couple of days. And I realized that a lot of the time I'm listening to what Satan is telling me about God. And God is like, that really hurts my feelings. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm really committing right now to not give the voice of the accuser any space in my heart, because I suddenly became aware that I am agreeing with someone who hates him. It's awful. And I never saw it that way before. But we can get free. And it's just as simple as saying, all right, I'm sorry, I don't want to do that anymore. You're right. That is terrible. Why am I letting Satan tell me you're not going to give me what I need? I don't know why and they repeat it over and over. It becomes a mantra. I'm not going to have enough money. It's not going to work. Like, why do I have to work? And I got to spend all my time at church. And like, it's just not going to work. I just keep saying, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. And Jesus is like, you got a church, dude. Like, there's a ton of people that love the house of prayer. There's like, your kids come. He's, what do you mean it's not going to work? What's wrong with you? It is working. But the enemy, he's a really good liar. He uses our own voice. I'm like, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. I'm like praying over and over. It's not going to work. He's like, stop praying to the devil. We got to stop it. And he said to him, out of your own mouth I will judge you, you wicked servant. You knew that I was an austere man, collecting what I did not deposit and reaping what I did not sow. And what he's saying is, if that's who you thought I was, then you should have at least trembled and done something with it. Why then did you not put my money in the bank, that at my coming I might have collected it with interest? And he said to those who stood by, take the mina from him, give it to him who has 10 minas. But they said to Master, he's got 10 minas. I mean, can you hear and Jesus is like, this is what they're going to say. I know it. I know it's going to like rock them. They're going to be like, it's so unfair. And he's like, I get to pick. For I say to you that everyone who has will be given, and from him who does not have, even what he has will be taken away from him. But bring here those enemies of mine who did not want me to reign over them, and slay them before me. This is going to happen for real. For real. And we've got to get comfortable with this idea. If we'll believe it, and we'll believe that it's love, then we'll respond to it, and we'll make a safe place for other people to be safe in it. If we won't believe it, how can we expect other people to respond to his judgment? He's literally, it's some of the passages that David prophesied, he says he's going to fill valleys with the bodies of people that are rebelling against him. He's not going to feel bad about it at all. And in fact, we're going to do it because we enthrone him on our praises. And right now, there's a ton of people, they hate love, they hate truth, they hate righteousness, they hate people. And if they don't repent, they're going to die, and it's going to be good. It's going to be righteous. It's going to be glorious. And he says, you don't embrace that idea. Contend for them. I made them to be righteous. I made them to be love, but I won't make them. And I won't make you, but you can choose it. You can pick it. David's tabernacle is entirely voluntary. It's different than any other tabernacle in the Bible. It's a house of prayer for all nations. Anybody can come in and do it. It's like sackcloth. Anybody can put on sackcloth. Ninevites can put it on. Anybody can. There's no law about it. You can do whatever you want. Do you want to make a safe place? I'm not saying sackcloth makes a safe place. I'm saying the house of prayer makes a safe place. It's entirely voluntary, and at first it starts with you. You start to get safe. Okay, so this is where I'm going to end. Come with me to there's some great passages in here. Page 2. I'm going to walk you through this real fast, okay? If you're interested in this, spend a little time in it. Page 2. I'll give you the story about Sodom and Lot choosing the city of Zoar. You pick your own city of refuge, okay? So if we go to verse 12 of Genesis 19, I'm at the bottom of page 2 of the notes. Actually, verse 15. When the morning dawned, now it's interesting. Actually, let's go to verse 14. I just hear the Holy Spirit breathing on this real quick. Okay, so Lot went out. The angel tells him, the outcry against this place is so bad, we come here to rescue you. We have to take you out of here because you're the only righteous one. Abram was just negotiating with the Lord. He said, would you do it for 40? Would you do it for 30? Would you do it for 10? Would you do it for 5? He had this conversation with the Lord, and the Lord's like, I'll save the whole city for that number. There wasn't that number. So the angel came and says, Lot, you got to go. I cannot destroy this place until you're safe. He says, get up. But you know what Lot did? Lot went out and spoke to his sons-in-law who had married his daughters and said, get up and get out of this place, for the Lord will destroy the city. But his sons-in-laws, they thought he was joking. Like, the first reaction is to tell everybody, this is what you have to do when you hear about judgment. This is what you have to do. But the angel was trying to have a conversation with Lot. Lot, I'm trying to get you to move. The first thing you do is not tell everybody else what they're supposed to do. They don't believe you if you're not doing it. Okay? When the morning dawned, the angels urged Lot to hurry, saying, "Arise, take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here, lest you be consumed in the punishment of the city." And while he lingered, the men took hold of his hand. Like they can't move him. The rule is they can't violate his free will, but they grab his hand. Dude, really? You gotta go. His wife's hand, and the hands of his 2 daughters, the Lord being merciful to him, and they brought him out and set him outside the city. So it came to pass when they had brought him outside, he said, "Escape for your life. Do not look behind you, nor stay anywhere in the plain. Escape to the mountains, lest you be destroyed." Why don't they just carry him all the way? They can't. It's a voluntary choice of love to agree with God. Lot said to them, "Please know my lords." Now listen, angels show up. The people of the city surround the house, want to have their way with the angels. I mean, this is depravity. Depravity. Lot, gets pulled right to the edge of the city. Like, you got to go. And instead of listening to the angels and running, he starts to negotiate with them. Wait a second, guys. Lot said to them, "Please know, my lords, indeed now your servant has found favor in your sight, and you've increased your mercy with what you've shown me by saving my life, but I cannot escape to the mountains, lest some evil overtake me and die." What? They just told you what to do. They're here to save your life. They're angels. No. I think it's too dangerous. See, now that city is near enough to flee to, and it's a little one. In fact, the name Zor means little one. And you know what? The root word of Zor means brought low. It's actually about repentance. "Please let me escape there. Is it not a little one? And my soul shall live." See, Lot knew he was going to get this city. And he said to him, "See, I have favored you concerning this thing also, in that I will not overthrow this city for which you have spoken." Lot just changed the destiny of the entire city of Zor. Nobody there even knows God. And Lot's like, "I want that city." The angel's like, "Okay, I changed the destiny of that city for you." It's that easy. It happened in a 4-second conversation. Can we change the destiny of our city? Yes. Do we have to do something? Yes. Do we have to believe it? Yes. Without faith, it's impossible to please God. We have to believe he's a rewarder of those who seek him. But Noah did this, and he saved his whole family and showed everyone else they could have gotten safe too. "Hurry, escape there, for I cannot do anything until you arrive there." What? I can't judge this city until you have consummated the decision in your heart. We're not waiting for Jesus. Jesus is waiting for us. And a lot of us are on the fence. If we'll get into the place of actually giving ourselves to him in this, and I'm not saying here, I'm not trying to talk you into doing Light Hop. I'm trying to talk you into being an on-fire believer that prays night and day. I am unashamed to tell you, the Bible over and over and over and over and over says the end time plan is night and day prayer. That's it, for safety. There's lots of plans. There's lots of death promised in the Bible. There's one plan for safety, and it has to do with loving other people. Turn with me for a second. Last thing. Kids will be here any second, so I'm getting ready to wrap up. Let's go to page 5 of the notes. The Bible is clear. You can escape the testing of the Great Tribulation. Clear. Unequivocally clear. If you live in a city called Philadelphia, what does Philadelphia mean? Everybody knows it. Brotherly love. This is being a king and a priest. It's a Levite city, but it's also a Davidic city. It's both. So when we look at, actually, let's look at just below that, Jeremiah 33:22. This is a promise about what God's purpose is in the earth. This is prophesied by Jeremiah. As the host of heaven cannot be numbered, talking about the stars, talking about the angels, nor the sand of the sea measured, so I will multiply the descendants of David, my servant, and the Levites who ministered to me. Was David a Levite? No, he was of the tribe of Judah. He was in the king tribe, Jesus' tribe. But he pretended to be a Levite because he really loved the Levites. So he took all those Levites, made a place for them to serve because he loved Jesus' government. Jesus is a priest and a king. He didn't pretend. He's like, for real, priest and king. If you're in Christ, you're supposed to be too. You're supposed to be David, the seed of David, and a descendant of the Levites. Okay? I will multiply the descendants of David, my servant, and the Levites who minister to me. Now, this is the basis of safety in Philadelphia. This is what Philadelphia is doing. They're doing the Davidic key of David. They're also doing the worship of the Levites, okay? And David did that too. To the angel of the church in Philadelphia, write these things he says, who is holy and he who is true, he who has the key of David, Holy Spirit. I use the key of David right now in this room. In Jesus' name, give us understanding. No one can close this door in the name of Yeshua. In the name of Jesus, give us clarity. No one can close this door in the name of Jesus. I shut the door of confusion right now in Jesus' name. I shut every lying spirit's mouth by angels right now in Jesus' name. Holy Spirit, open this up for us. He who has the key of David, he who opens and no one shuts, and shuts and no one opens. I know your works. See, I have set before you an open door, and no one can shut it. For you have you got Zor strength, have kept my word, have not denied my name. Indeed, I will make those of the synagogue of Satan who say they are Jews and are not but lie. Indeed, now, I've said this a bunch of times to you. You probably already know this, but in this case, in this time period, believers were thought to become Jews, Messianic Jews. That's why he's saying it this way. He's talking about the church. I will make those of the synagogue of Satan who say they are Jews and are not but lie. Indeed, I will make them come. This is about worship. This is about Levitical worship and worship before your feet and to know that I have loved you. Now, you don't have to take my word for that. You can see it comes next. Because you have kept my command to persevere, I will also keep you from the hour of trial. Some translations say the hour of testing, which shall come upon the whole world to test those who dwell on the earth. Behold, I am coming quickly. Hold fast to what you have, that no one may take your crown. That's the king part. That's the David part. He who overcomes, I will make him a pillar in the temple of my God. That's the Levite part. And he shall go out no more. I will write on him the name of my God. In Zechariah, at the end, we find out that in the Levite city, in the Jewish city, all the bells, they have like holiness to the Lord or holy to the Lord. Everything has his name on it in the millennial Jerusalem. Everything has his name written on it. This is what he's saying. He's saying, I will actually make you one who gets access to me all the time. I'm your inheritance if you want me to be. If you want me to be your inheritance, if you do the first commandment, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, you know what has to overflow from that? Loving your neighbor as you love yourself. If we love our neighbor as we love ourselves, what do we need to get tested for? That's the whole point. The whole point of judgment is repentance. If we're already doing the thing, he says, I wish no one would perish. I want you to do the thing. So if we voluntarily do the thing, not only do we not need to get tested, we make a whole lot of space, give a whole lot of vision to other people to get through that test really fast. Oh, I know what this is about. This is about night and day prayer. That's what this is about. And he gives these rewards. Okay, one last place. I said that was it, but it's not. One more place, page 6. This is about servanthood. There's a difference between being a believer and being a servant. There's good and evil servants in Matthew 24. There's actually good and evil servants throughout the body, or throughout the Bible. This is about being a servant. A servant is what? A Levite, priest and a king. The Levites who serve me. You see what I'm saying? Revelation 7, 1-3. After these things, I saw 4 angels standing at the 4 corners of the earth. This is the beginning of the great tribulation. And 4 winds of the earth. I believe this is happening, or just happened. That the wind should not blow on the earth or on the sea or on any tree. Then I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God. And he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels to whom it was granted to harm the earth and the sea, saying, do not harm the earth, the sea, or the trees till we have sealed the servants of our God on their foreheads. And then it goes to start to list the tribes of Israel. But after that, we find out this isn't for them. This is actually for these people. Revelation 7, 13-17. They already got the seal. They're safe. Nothing can happen to them, according to the book of Revelation. They'll die. Some of them will die. Nothing can happen to them. You see what I'm saying? It's different. Revelation 7, 13-17. If you don't know what I mean, find me or find someone else after church and say, why does he keep saying could be safe but die? The Bible says, don't fear him who can kill the body and can't kill the soul. Fear him who can kill the body and the soul. Then one of the elders said to me, answered me, saying to me, who are these arrayed in white robes? Now remember the parable of the wedding feast. And the guy's like, oh, I don't know why I'm here. You mean I don't have the right clothes on for the wedding? These are the ones who come out of the great tribulation and washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. Therefore, they are before the throne of God and serve him day and night in his temple. Well, wait a second. A multitude without number just before this it tells us that you couldn't even number these servants, these people that are ministering before the Lord in his glory. Our city is full of people that we've prayed for years. Some of you have prayed for people for decades. They are going to minister as Levites before him forever. They're gonna dote on his beauty and his glory. They're gonna be satisfied in their lives forever. They're gonna put away all of their idols. They're gonna put away all of their hatred, all their backbiting, all their slandering. They're gonna put it all away, and they're gonna be completely satisfied in the glory of God forever. A multitude without number, many in this city. They are before the throne of God, and they serve him day and night in his temple. And he who sits on the throne will dwell among them. They shall neither hunger anymore, nor thirst anymore. The sun shall not strike them, nor any heat. For the Lamb who is in the midst of the throne will shepherd them. He's taking them to a safe place. A lot of these people in this passage aren't dead. They're before the throne on earth. A multitude without number. A multitude without number is not going to die. We know how many is going to die. Half the earth's population. A lot of these people are alive. Jesus is going to be met by a worship movement of a pure and spotless bride who spend their time before his throne. They're getting saved into the house of prayer. He says they are the ones who come out of the great tribulation. Revelation 18, because her filth is piled so high, her luxury, her corruption, come out of her. They come out. People that love truth, they love this message. Do you know that I can talk to my clients about the end times? None of them give me a hard time. I've sat at lunch with lenders, with attorneys, told them all the stuff that I tell you guys, stuff that churches kick me out for. They're like, that's awesome. That's kind of crazy. I want to hear a little bit more. They don't believe it yet. They're not offended by it because they don't have all these religious issues. All these things they've set in their mind, and if I say something that violates their safe place, they get upset. It's not a safe place. If it's so fragile that me telling you what the Bible says disrupts your safe place, it's not safe. It's not safe. But there is a safe place. David's safe place. All right, last place. Psalm 27:4. Oh, man. He's so good, you guys. He's so good. His Bible... it makes sense when you grab onto this. I could go anywhere right now. I mean, I got like 10 passages in my mind. This is the story the Bible is telling. Psalm 27:4. Where's those kids at? Oh, they're planting. All right, Katie, Lukey. Is Luke here? Sorry, Luke. I mean, Luke. Luke, the physician. Psalm 27. So I could have said Psalm 91. Because he set his love upon me, I will hide him. How do we set our love upon him? Well, we get in front of him. We give him our love. The Lord is my delight, my light. The Lord is my light, my salvation. Psalm 27, verse 1. My salvation, whom shall I fear? The Lord is my strength, the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? This is David's testimony. The lion, the bear, the Philistine giant. When the wicked came against me to eat up my flesh, my enemies and foes, they stumbled and fell. Though an army may encamp against me. So he starts looking at the past. He's like, it has worked in the past, if I'm honest. Then he says, when the wicked came against me to eat up my flesh, though an army may encamp against me. He starts looking to the future. My heart shall not fear. Though war may rise against me. In this I will be confident. He's saying, this is my safe place. Nobody can touch it. Nobody can move it. You touch this, you know it. Once you touch it, you know it. Nobody can move it. If you can be moved right now, you haven't touched it. One thing I've desired of the Lord, that will I seek, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of the Lord and to inquire in his temple. He says, I set my entire life on this one thing. I'm confident. Nothing can take me out because this is what he made me for. This is what he made man for, to love him. And if I love him, he's good. He rewards those who diligently seek him because I believe in his character. I don't listen to the accuser. Behold, the beauty of the Lord inquire in his temple. For in the time of trouble, he shall hide me in his pavilion. In the secret place of his tabernacle, he shall hide me. He shall set me high upon a rock. And now my head shall be lifted up above my enemies all around me. Therefore, because of this, because I know it's true, because I know he rewards those who diligently seek him, stand with me if you will. It'll feel better. Trust me. Therefore, I will offer sacrifices of joy in his tabernacle. I will sing. Yes, I will sing praises to the Lord. He's committing to singing. He's like, yeah, I know it looks scary, but I got one thing. I remember. I did the thing that he wanted, and he's a rewarder of those who diligently seek him. Hear, O Lord, when I cry with my voice. Have mercy also upon me. It takes faith. David, there were many times David is like, where are you, God? He wasn't a super saint. He was a lover. And if you've ever been a lover, when your lover is gone, you're a herder, you're a weeper, you're a mourner, but you're still a lover. And he's like, I know I'm a lover. Hear me when I cry with my voice. Have mercy also upon me and answer me. When you said, seek my face, my heart said to you, your face, Lord, I will seek. Do not hide your face from me. Do not turn your servant away in anger. He's reminding himself, this is not who he is. He's not a hard man. He's not austere. He's speaking to himself. When you said, seek my face, my heart said to you, your face, Lord, I will seek. Do not hide your face from me. Do not turn your servant away in anger. You've been my help. Do not leave me nor forsake me, O God of my salvation. My father and my mother forsake me. When they do, then the Lord will take care of me. He says, I know he's a better dad than the dad that I had. Do you know that when Samuel came to anoint the king, David was the only one not invited to the party? Samuel goes through all the sons of Jesse. He's like, no, there's got to be another one. David had a bad dad. And he says, my dad, my mom can leave me, but I know God. He would never forsake me. Teach me your way, O Lord. Lead me in a smooth path because of my enemies. Do not deliver me to the will of my adversaries, for false witnesses have risen against me, and such as breathe out violence. I would have lost heart unless I had believed that I would see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Wait on the Lord. Be of good courage, and he shall strengthen your heart. Wait, I say, on the Lord. If you want to touch this more, let's just raise our hands. We're going to ask the Holy Spirit to come, give us vision. Without vision, we perish. We're asking for vision of safety. Don't let anyone talk you out of end-time safety. Don't let it happen. It's an accusation against him. So God, right now, we just bind any accusation against you. Even the ones that we've spoken ourselves. And we've all done it. We've all wondered who he really is. Right now, we're just signing up. We're just signing up. We're sprinkling ourselves with the blood of the Lamb right now. Holy Spirit, all over the room, just sprinkle us with the blood of the Lamb. It's really good. And we just sign up right now to believe you're a good Father. We set our eyes on you. We step into your throne room clean because of the blood of the Lamb right now. All accusation has fallen off of us. Anything we may have agreed with that's not you, it just fell off of us. So nothing can stand perfect blood. And we say to you, Father, show us who you are. Set your love, Lord, in this room with just, oh, you're a good dad. Just wash over this room with the spirit of adoption. You are a good dad. Even when we mess up, you don't withhold love from us. You never stop loving us, not once, never. You're trying to give us rewards. You're trying to give us an inheritance. We just say it to you. We know who you are. We know who you are. You're so good. You're so good. You will help us love you. If you're feeling lukewarm right now, tell him, I don't want to feel lukewarm anymore. Just tell him. Give it to him. Give him responsibility for your burning. Give him responsibility for it. He'll take it right now. I don't want to feel lukewarm anymore, God. I'm a son of the Most High God. I want my inheritance. I want my position. Holy Spirit, in this room, touch us with the heart of the Father. Send wind. Send fire. Send language to explain this stuff, God. In Jesus' name.